Hello, scholars. Today, a new topic we are going to discuss, that is the impact factor journals as per Journal Citation Report SNIP SJR IPP Site Score. Might be some of the terminologies here or the abbreviations enlisted here. You have already heard that one, or might be you haven't heard those things. But this particular presentation will actually give you the focus on the identification of your impact as a researcher and what are the different types of journals that are having good impact factor, those which are actually the legitimate journals. At the same time, what are the different types of journal citations, what are the different types of factors by which you can identify which journals are rather good, and what are the different types of measures, metrics, and what are the reasons behind all these metrics and how these metrics are helping in the academic parlance to the researcher. So this lecture, I think it will help you to understand the core issues of journal identification, or rather your score as a researcher, and at the same time you will understand, you will have a greater glimpse to those factors that is which are rather right now really relevant for excellence in academics. So the first one, this is the impact factor journal. So impact factor, so what is the impact factor? Now see, the impact factor, this one is usually assured to, or usually inclined to this one, that is the journal itself, impact factor. But right now, whenever we are talking about impact factor, this impact factor is not only related to the journals, but right now it is rather related with the article level impact factor. Here is the concept of author level impact factor, and not only the journals, that is how much productive, prolific one author is. That is also the purview of this particular lecture. So in this very lecture we will be discussing all these issues. Specifically, we will try to demystify the impact factor, the very concept of impact factor, and how to identify the impact factor of journals, and what are the different types of impact factors, what are the different agencies they calculate impact factor, and what are the different methodologies by which they calculate impact factor, and what are the premier indexing databases where the journals are usually enlisted, how do the University Grants Commission recognize these journals, and what are the different scores that you can achieve by publishing your research articles in these journals. So this particular aspect is rather very important in one academic scholar, because without this thing right now, the stringent measure has taken by UGC, if you really want to come over with it, so you have to understand this thing very clearly. So in this presentation, this is a compact presentation, I will try to say, demystify all the labyrinths that are actually included within this presentation. So let me allow me to proceed further. Just keep your tempo fine so that you can understand that one properly. Now, see, the first thing, we are actually going with the publish or perish. Now, what is publish or perish? The very concept of publish or perish, this aphorism was in vogue for a long time, and till date it is rather been used by a lot of fellows. That is, if you really want to show your presence in the academic domain, either you have to publish, otherwise you will just get perished. So what you have to publish? You have to publish the original insights that you are having regarding the subject, It is assumed that you will find out the lacuna, you will find out the gap in the subject where the literary warrants are not that much available. So you can dig into the subjects and you can dig into the domain, you can identify those gray areas, and regarding those gray areas and after identification of those gray areas, you can write some papers and you can publish it. Now, publish or perish, this one is rather a kind of, you can say, it's having two different aspects. One is the positive one and second one is the negative one. Just you see, if you do not publish, no one will even understand that one, how you are rather developing, how you are contributing to the knowledge domain. And whenever you are talking about perish, this is how, if you do not publish, people won't understand that one, or the academicians won't understand your presence in the domain. So obviously there are some reasons by which you will be actually lagged behind in the academic discipline or academic research, and that's why this is positive. And second aspect of publish or perish is like that. This is a kind of pressure to publish academic work in order to succeed in your academic career. And this pressure, many of the people, they are actually saying that one, this type of pressure to publish, that is actually the root cause of the poor work being submitted to the academic journals. That is, there is always a kind of hurry that whatever you are actually thinking, whether there are the duplication, these are the duplications, whether other fellows have already published on that particular topic or not, or whether the work has already been done or not. So you are just mimicking, you are just parroting that one, and you are trying to publish that one for the sake of your academic career advancement. And that is where this is not only you are publishing, but at the same time you are actually making information overload, and you are actually making the gibberish or garbages in the domain or in the knowledge repository. And obviously these are nothing but a kind of, you are publishing, but at the same time these are not giving the true result of your intuit. And that is why there is another concept of perish, that is, the more such work will be identified, the more you will be labeled as a culprit of, or rather as a culprit who is taking some different measures, some manipulative measures or manipulative measures to publish his or her articles. So this is the very concept of publish or perish. Now we are coming to the harsh consequences of publish or perish. This particular culture, it's the pervasive one, and it appears like that it will stay here for more time to come. So this instant distribution and transparency of authorship and peer review, it can help the problems of research quality, research integrity. But if always you are threatened with that one, the more you will publish, more you will be rewarded. The more your publication volumes are, or more your names are rather in the publishing titles, and obviously you will see that one, that is actually the total system, the academic system, the knowledge development process will remain functionally broken. Because human mind, whenever human mind is thinking or whenever human mind is working, so it has to correlate with the pre-existing thing, and with that correlation it has to identify some of the real thing that needs to be published, and that really wants to be disseminated. But usually that is not happening. Whenever you have a kind of pressure, that is, you have to prepare 12 articles or you have to prepare 5 articles for a particular promotion, so obviously you are in a hurry, that is, by hook or crook, by any means you have to publish that one. And that is the big problem of the harsh one, or the problem of publishing. And the harsh consequences are also there. There are the predatory journals, they are actually having the prying eye, they are having they are actually identifying, or they are prey on with you, and that's for why be cautious about that one. Publish only those things where you are, on which domain you are convenient or rather you are sound. Otherwise, don't go for publishing such things which are already there in the knowledge domain, which are already in the literature. So such kind of publication is not actually helping to develop the social capital, not helping the knowledge capital, not helping developing any kind of social good. So now these perspectives of impact, the next one, what we are actually telling here, the academic impact. If you think about the impact of one research, you will see that one, we are having the academic impact, at the same time we are having social impact. Academic impact is obviously embedded within social impact, but what is happening, many of the times whenever we are writing, we are only writing on the basis of that one, that is what we are getting, or rather what is already there, we are just mimicking that one. But these thing, what you produced or what you published, if this is having some kind of inclination towards the societal impact, if people are actually citing, people started citing your work, so obviously you will see the social impact will increase. So we have broadly the different kinds of impact. One impact is that is the academic impact by just judging, that is how many articles you publish in the journals, and at the same time we can assess your impact in the social domain, or rather we can assess your academic impact by not only counting how many articles or how many journals, or how many journals you published your articles, or in how many places you have written something, or rather what are the numbers of printed documentations you have, but at the same time how many times you were mentioned in the reports, what are your role in the social media, and how you are responding to the different types of social channels where the academic communities are rather very much, you can say, presence, or their presence is very much vivid or rather seen. So this is where the social impact. So apart from just writing, your phenomenal activities in the societal sides, directly or indirectly, how you are representing yourself in the other domains than from the printed one, this is actually called as the social impact. And this is rather more article centric, and here is a catchy name. That name is known as altmetrics. We will discuss that one in the later slides. Now you see, what are the metrics? So first thing is that we have the traditional bibliometrics. In traditional bibliometrics, we have the basic three theories of bibliometrics and three laws of bibliometrics, like Bradford's scientific law, and then Lotka's law and Gibbs law. And most of these laws are actually based on citation counts, total number of citations that are rather being cited by other fellows, how many people are rather using your articles, and that is one. The second is the emerging altmetrics, that is based on online tools. In traditional bibliometrics, we are talking about your citations, or rather we are talking about, that is, number of sites if one particular article has already got. And in emerging altmetrics, apart from your articles, other activities means your comments, your likes, your deliberations, and sometimes your blogs. So with that one, what you are rather communicating to the authority, or to the knowledge domain, that is known as altmetrics. And now see, why should we study metrics, and why is metrics? And first and foremost thing is that qualification, or that is quantification of research impact. That is, you have the quality to produce, but the thing is that how good, how many good articles you have written. The quantification means it's not that whether you have written 120 articles or 150 articles or not. Quantification is rather how many good articles you have written, those articles which are rather having a good impact in the academic community. People are thinking that one that can be one very good literature to cite for their own study. That is the quantification. That is the counting of the total number of research impact. And then we have to understand, that is, what are the multidimensional array of stakeholders. Who are those? The multidimensional array of stakeholders. Now in metrics, you will see that one, there are different types of stakeholders. As for example, you see the author himself, the publisher, then the citation agencies, or rather the databases where the indexing and abstracting articles are there. They include index and abstractors of your articles, and at the same time there are the vendors, or rather content aggregators, those who are aggregating all these things in a particular place like JSTOR, or rather the Scopus or Web of Science, and they are called as so that's why they are the multidimensional array of stakeholders. And calculation of fuzzy concepts and associative activities, that is how this impact factor is measured, whether these impact factors are actually or rather truly depicting the very cognitive ideas of one author, the very ideas, the very concept of the author, or rather it is highlighting that one, or rather it is just discarding that one because this is not published in a particular journal which is recorded in their index journals. So these are the reasons for which we usually count, or rather we go for metric study. Now, what are the different types of metrics right now we do have? So scholars have combined standard research metrics. So we have the combination of that one, like scholarly outputs, citation counts, into formulas to measure and assess author and journal impact in new ways. So author impact, that is who is the most prolific author in a particular discipline, who is rank 1 in a particular subject. If you are a student of physics, right now who is the first author or the most prolific author in India, or rather who is the most prolific author in your field in international scenario. So if you can identify that one, that is what you can assess the author, or rather which particular journal is actually under rank 1, or which particular journal is in the list of 1 or ranked 1. So you can identify that one, and by identifying that one you can even choose the journal. If your development, if your research is you are thinking that one that is international standard, if you think that one your finding is rather revolutionary, if your findings are rather some kind of thing which you are not told by anyone, so you can write those things in those journals after measuring that one, after seeing the measurement, after seeing that one, that is their impact factor, or that is impact factor means that is their penetration to the academic community. So we have different types of impact factors like journal impact factor, H index, G index, agent factor score, then altmetrics. So different types of indexing systems are there. At the same time we have that one, the other variations too, like that of IPP, then CiteScare, SJR, that is journal ranking system, JCR, journal count or journal citation reports. So these are the different types of metrics. So now we are coming for this one, the ways of measuring the impact. That is how we can measure the impact of different components. So what are the different components? The components are rather 3. One is the journal, second one is the article, third one is the author. We are measuring impact of these 3. How? The first is the journal impact, second one is the article impact, and third one is the author impact. Journal impact means whether that journal is actually in the core journal. So if you prepare a list of core journals, the journal, whether that particular journal is rather under the core journal list or not, that is the journal impact. Now article impact means how many people are citing your article for their further study. So if your article is rather being cited by many authors, then immediately we can assume that one, or we can infer like that your article is having the relevance with those things, because whenever a new author is writing something and citing you, a kind of relationship can be established, that is your article is having some relationship. So your article or whatever the findings you presented in your article is still valid, still relevant for the today's research. That is what the article impact. And thirdly, the author impact, that is the author impact. One measure is there, H index, I will tell you that one. So that is actually the individual centric metrics. So this is what, as an author, how much or how much you are rated, or actually how you are rather rated by the other fellows in the discipline. And then we have the alt metrics, taking all these three and rather taking the article, journal, at the same time something more, and book chapter impacts, just book citations like this, and maximizing your impact by promoting your research through different channels of academic field, different channels in academic field, by which the other fellows can understand that is your output is like that. Now we are coming to these journal level metrics. These journal level metrics, so this is started from as a fact of many, So why journal level metrics? So we have lot of journals, and is this information abundance is there. And right now we are talking about this one, or you term that one as information overload. It's rather something that is from the ocean, where the ocean of published literature you have, or rather you can say the mine of information literature, and we want to focus our limited attention that has become increasingly important. The research metrics, you see, if you say that one, is it the kind, is this research metric, or that research metrics are rather fine to measure the intellectual capability of the one individual or one author, or rather is it, or are these metrics truly identify the tacit knowledge that one individual is having? So this is sometimes controversial, but when in popular usage, these are rather some bit of proxies, and in multidimensional concepts, these are actually talking about like that, the research quality or impact. But different metrics are having the different policies, different bases based on the underlying data source, method of calculation, context of use. So Elsevier, you see, what the Elsevier is doing might be the Web of Science is not doing that one. The real impact factor, which was first developed, it is rather calculating the impact in some different ways. So Elsevier is having some two golden rules. One rule is that always they are using both qualitative and quantitative input for decision, the expert opinion alongside metrics, and always use more than one research metrics, that is actually to be the foolproof one for the quantitative input. So one particular measure for impact factor, or measuring the impact of your journal, may not reveal the true identity of you as a researcher. So obviously if you can mix up, or if you can use more than one or like that, so then you can come to a particular average of your impact, and then we can say that well, this is at least, if not foolproof, that is near to foolproof. And the second rule is that acknowledges that performance cannot be that one metrics as quality, and second one acknowledges that performance cannot be expressed by any single metrics. as well as the fact that all metrics have specific strengths and weaknesses. So that's why multiple complementary metrics can help provide a more complete picture. So this is what we are actually, these are actually the beginning, or rather the very first level of understanding regarding the journal level metrics. Now we have journal citation reports, and this is the JCR. This JCR is a product of Thomson and Reuters. Right now, Clarivate analysis. It provides a transparent, publisher-neutral data and statistics that one needs to make confident decisions in today's evolving scholarly publishing landscape. And you know, this journal impact factor JIF, alongside the descriptive data about journals, open access contributors, these are the most important thing, and this is a web of science. They doesn't depend on journal impact factor alone, assessing the usefulness of a journal, neither anyone else. Not only the journal impact factor. Journal impact factor should not be used without careful attention to many phenomena that influence citation rates. For example, the average number of references cited in the average article. So whenever metrics means quantification. So what we are trying, that is, we are trying to quantify the intellectual capability, that is a qualitative aspect of one individual with the help of some quantification. And here is the catch. Catch is that the way you are measuring might be that particular measurement is not totally correct to identify the very tacit or very intellect of the individual, and that's why they are saying that is, it influences that the average number of citations. Suppose you didn't cite that much, or the way you have written, or rather the relevance of your article, or rather the concept you promoted in one article. So very few fellows actually understood that one. So in that case, he will be seated lesser, and obviously he will be considered as a less prolific author. So this is what, so this type of variations are there. So we need to go for the article level data, not only the journal centric data, for clearer understanding between the article and the journal. There's a relationship between the article and the journal. This level of transparency allows us not only to see the data, but at the same time it will actually help you to nuances the consideration of journal value. Now journal impact factor, now we are coming to this one. Journal impact factor, this is calculated by Clarivate analysis. Clarivate Analytics, previously it was Thomson Reuters, or rather right now a branch of sister concern of Thomson Reuters, and it is calculated like this way. This is the average sum of citations received each year to a journal's previous 2 years publication, divided by the sum of citable items in the previous 2 years. And what is that? The journal's previous 2 years publication linked to the journal, but not necessarily to specific publication, divide specific publication. That is what, so they are discarding the article level metrics. They are only considering the journal, that is total number of articles they published, divided by sum of the citable publications in the previous 2 years. So owing to this way in which citations are counted in the numerator and subjectivity of that constitutes citable item in the denominator, JIF has received sustained criticism for many years for its lack of transparency and reproducibility and the potential for manipulating the metrics. And it was available for only 11,785 journals. Science Citation Index expanded plus Social Science Index as per December 2009. This GIF is based on an extract of Clarivate's Web of Science database and includes citations that could not be linked to specific articles and so-called unlinked citations. So I will tell you the example of this one. Now see, this one, the impact factor, this JIF or this impact factor It was actually the brainchild of this individual known as Sir Eugene Garfield. This Eugene Garfield, he developed these Thomson Reuters, and he termed that one as the impact factor, and source is the journal citation reports. What they are doing, they are using a 2-year period. Use a 2-year period to divide the number of times articles were cited by the numbers of articles that were published. This is very important. So if you want to measure the impact factor of a journal, suppose today or this year, this is 2020. In 2020, if you want to measure the impact factor of a journal, what you have to do, you have to take the previous 2 years, that is 2019 and 2018, and then you have to count the total number of articles published in these 2 years. See, suppose one particular journal X is having the periodicity quarterly, that is the vendors of that journal or publishers of that journal, they are producing 4 issues in a year. So actually for the last 2 years you are having total 8 issues, and the total 8 issues, suppose the first issue published 6 articles, second issue 8, third issue 4, fifth issue 5. So you have to count that one. That is, how many articles were published in 2019, how many articles were published in 2018 in a single journal, suppose journal X, and you counted that one, total 73 journals or articles were published. Okay, now out of these 73 journals, we got 200 times the articles were published in 2009 and were cited by the indexing journal during 2010. 200 times these were cited. Any kind of journal, any kind of article, 200 times cited. So what you have to do, that is, you have to divide this 200 by 73. So your impact factor is 2.73. So impact factor replaced, that is how many citations on a specific journal there are on average. A journal with high impact factor has high article submission rate. And again we are demystifying that one, the impact factor. And you see, this is the journal and journal articles, scholarly journals. So initially created for the librarians, then largely adopted by STEM, all the cases of science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So journal impact factor. Now see, cites in 2010, try to understand this one, that is, that is cites in 2010 to items published in 2009. So 2010 is our base year, and in this year we are actually trying to calculate the number of that is the impact factor of a journal. So now suppose the journal name is X. Now what we are doing, we are actually in 2010, so we are taking 2009 and 2008. So these are actually the previous 2 years, 2008. Okay. Now see, in 2008-9 we got 45 articles, and total articles published 45, and 945, and 2008 we got that one, as it's hidden, that is 45 minus 94, that is what? That is near about, you see, 45, 94. So this might be another 45, 47, 48, 94, 5, 49. In 2008 we got 49. So 49 means, you will see that one, 44 plus 49, that is actually coming 94. And in 2009, total 351 times there was a citation of that particular items. items published, sites. That is any kind of, so out of this now up to now 94, within this 94 you got that one, and 2008 we got that one 472. So total, make a total of these two, that is 2823. So you got that one, divide it 8.755. So this is the citation score, or rather impact factor of that particular journal. And then we got another term that is known as the SNP, and that is what the source normalized impact per paper. Here we are talking about paper, not the journal itself. Now, source normalized impact factor is a sophisticated metric intrinsically accounts for field specific differences in citation practices. Field specific. Now see, in physics, and if you call for sociology, obviously we will see that one some differences will be there, because the more dynamic subjects, there will be the more papers, more theoretical cognitive subjects, there will be having lesser number of papers, lesser citations. So obviously it is does so by comparing each journal citations per publication. In previous cases, these publications were not actually considered per publication, with the citation potential in its field defined as a set of publications citing that journal. SNP is therefore a measure of contextual citation impact that enables direct comparison of journals in different subject fields, and these are calculated annually from Scopus data and freely available from Scopus sources. Okay, scopus.com.sources. And unlike journal impact factor, the previous one I told you, SNP corrects the differences in citation practices between citing fields, thereby allowing for more accurate between field comparison in citation compound. And the person who developed this one is known as Professor Henk F. Moed at the Center for Science and Technology Studies, University of Leiden. This fellow, he developed this one, and SNP is considered one better modification, or rather much more research oriented and much more, you can say, relevant metrics till date. Now we have the site score metrics, and these site score metrics are a suite of indicators calculated from, again this is actually data from Scopus, was leading abstract and citation databases of peer-reviewed literature. Site score itself is an average of sum of the citations. Site score itself is an average sum of citations received in a given year to publications published in the previous 3 years divided by the sum of the publications in the same previous 3 years. Now what does it mean? This means the average of the sum of the citations received in a given year to publications published in the previous 3 years. So this is what? So this is 2020. So it is actually counting like 2019, then 2018, and then 2017. Three years, past 3 years. The past 3 years, what is that? Itself has the sum of the citations received in a given year. That is, in 2020, how many citations are given by the publication published in the last 3 years divided by the sum of the publications on the same the previous year. So suppose here we got that one, suppose into 2019 45. So here we got that one 45. Here we got that one, total number of items published, publications the same 3 years. So here we got that one 45. So we got that one 135. So we got that one, the journal published 135 publications or 135 articles, and now you divide this one by the number of citations of the last 3 years, that is 19, 18 and 17, the publications. So it is calculated for the current year on a monthly basis until it is fixed as a permanent value in the May of the following year, next year. So in 2020 data, it will be counted every month and it will be finalized in 2021 May, and permitting a real-time view how metric build as citation occur. Once fixed, these are also computed and contextualized with the ranking of other indicators. So citation metrics are current because it's multi-scope, comprehensive, based on scopus, clear, values are transparent and reproducible. And if you want to check that one, you can go to this particular site, scopus.com sources, and you will get that one, the site score metrics. Then Sky Imago Journal Rank, that is SJR. So this journal rank is based on the concept of transfer of prestige between journals via their citation link. What is the transfer of prestige between journals? Drawing on similar approach to the Google PageRank algorithm, which assume that important websites are linked to from other important websites, SJR weights each incoming citation to a journal by the SGR of the citation, that is Sky Imago Journal Rank, with the citation from high SGR source counting for more than a citation from low SGR score. Like site score, SGR accounts journal size average across the recent publication is calculated annually. It is also powered by Scopus. So next one is the IPP, and the impact per publication, although previously it was named as raw impact per publication, and it is calculated as the number of citations given in the present year to the publication in the past 3 years divided by the total number of publications in the past 3 years. It's more or less same like that one, that is this familiar is a well-known journal impact factor. Like journal impact factor, the IPP doesn't correct for differences citation practice between scientific fields, that is all subjects are actually taken together. And then you got that one immediacy index. This very term is very important, immediacy index. This is very current. Now what is that immediacy index? Immediacy index is rather counted for the same year in that sense, say sites in 2015, items published in 2015 991, and number of items published in 113. So you can got that one 8.77. There is no point of going back, that is the previous 2 years, previous years. It is taking the base year as the year of the base year as for calculation, and in the base year suppose it published 113 items or articles, and that articles in 2015 published 991 times. So obviously they are counting that one as dividing that one, that is the impact factor. And this is actually one software developed by Sir Eugene Garfield, the Thomson Reuters. It actually helps you to identify the different types of impact factor, including like I impact factor, then H index, then you can say the Google index, and at the same time prolific authors, which are rather the rank 1 journals, or the different types of cited references, everything. So although these visualization software and his side, this actually stalled, this production or rather development of this particular software has already been stalled. No more versions are coming. This is the Windows version, although written in Java. It's not available right now. I think some of the repositories are there from where you can get this one, but this was one very good software to calculate your citation metrics like impact factor, like H index and other indexes, and by collecting data from Web of Science. And now we have the H index variant, that is H5 index. Now here you see this physicist, Argentine American professor of physics, University of California, San Diego, known as George E. Hayes. He developed the H index, and H index is the name, and he collected the source data from Web of Science, Google Scholar and Scopus, all three. And what his approach is rather something, and it is user-centric one, that is author-centric one. And previously we talked about the journal level, and then we talked about the article level. Now we are talking about the author level. So what is the H index? That is what you have to do, that one. You, how the number of articles you published, you better rank it as 1 2 3 4 5 and put the list in descending order, that is 1 2 3 4 5. How? That is based on the number of times it is cited. Just go for any source, these sources, and you see, suppose you have the one paper and it got 13 citations. You have second paper, it got 7 citations. You have another paper, that is a third paper, it got 4 citations. Now you have to look down through the list to figure out at what point the number of times the publication cited this one is equal or larger than the line, the paper. So this one will be not this number. So your H index is. Please remember that many databases will give you this number. This is only if you like to calculate it manually. This is a manual calculation, but you can get H index from the different databases also, and because it is easy. It starts with the calculations like that. That is where you are actually getting more citation, and likewise you have to rearrange, or you have to make the table like that one, from a broader to narrower one, or rather from a bigger value to lower value. So this is the H index. And then we got G index by Ige, Leo Ige, and this is from Hasselt University, Netherlands. In 2006 he suggested G index. G index is rather G square less than equals to summation of Ci, I less than equals to G, and it is based on Hudgins Publisher Parish. And what is Hudgins Publisher Parish? Hudgins Publisher Parish is one in Windows software, and it computes your productivity, impact factor, and all other thing by taking the source as Google Scholar. And given the list of articles ranked in descending order of the number that citations they received. The G index is the largest unique number to the extent that top G articles received together is at least G square citation. G square citation, the G index can be thought of as a continuation of H index. The difference is that this index puts more weight on the highly cited citation. The G index was created because scholars noticed that H index ignores the number of citations to each individual argument beyond what it is needed to achieve. And that's why it is just square, means it will actually give you some bit of broader value. And then we got that one. This is the example of Publish and Perish, and by Anne Will Herzing. She is having her own site, and if you go there you can download this one on Windows based software, and it is actually based on that one, that is Google Scholar. It is fetching data from Google Scholar database, and here also you see Crossref, Google Scholar profile. From this one, Microsoft Academic, Scopus, Web of Science. For this one, the star marks are there. You require the login IDs and otherwise you cannot collect those data. So this is the most advanced version of this software, that is Publish or Perish by Anne Will Herzing, and you can fetch the data just by writing your name, the author, and you can search the database, and even you can actually collect the site score, that is H index, G index, all types of indexing you can get. Then agent factor score. This particular score was developed by these 4 fellows: Jevin West, Carl T. Barstrom, Tate C. Barstrom, in Alt House, and they have their own sites and they are actually collecting data from JCR, Journal Citation Report, and it is calculated by the help of agentfactor.org, and their information can be found in Journal Citation Report. Okay. Now I10 index is used by Google Scholar and indicators of the number that publications that have cited at least 10 times. I10. Only those publications have been cited at least 10 times. That is the I10 index. Now we got that one. Jason Prim, one individual who first tweeted this one, that is the term altmetrics. The altmetrics is the alternative metrics used to describe approaches, measures impact scholarship by using new social media tool such as bookmarks, links, blogs, positions, inclusion in citation management tools and things. So here the deviation is from not only recorded one, that is the R, recorded or printed, it is something more. That is something more. And proponents of altmetrics believe that using altmetrics will help measure the impact of an article in a more comprehensive and objective way than it was done with more traditional and scholarly impact measures such as journal impact factor. There are the limits, but still it is a good approach right now. The umbrella classification of non-citation based metrics. Now alternative metrics is a new way, only alternative to only using citations, not alternative to citations, alternative to only using citations, not alternative citations, complementary to traditional citation. And article level metrics have come to refer to any metrics including alt metrics that is surrounded a scholarly article. So article level metrics, it includes alt metrics too. An article centric approach, the measures online attention. So what you are doing, not only what you are actually, you have the recorded one, only the recorded literature, not the only the recorded literature, but at the same time the social media, news, online reference managers, everywhere your academic presence and how you participated, that are recorded. Contact and deliver article level metrics to journal publishers. And categories: article level, individual work, journal level, author level, institutional level. These are the 4 different levels. And these are the different sources from where the alt metrics are coming. Amazon, and this the different types of sources. GitHub, one of the biggest code repository, and ResearchGate. You will see people are rather right now using this particular one more and uploading that one. Twitter, where you are giving your intuits or insights in a recorded form. Goodreads, Mendeley, and Wikipedia. And how do we collect data for altmetrics? Directly from individual tool, from publisher, from library databases, from scholarly networks, through aggregating tools, SlideShare views, PLOS articles, Web of Science usage, ResearchGate, and altmetrics. And there are the different measures, the usage, how we can measure how many clicks, how many downloads, how many views. For social media, how many likes, shares, tweets, captures, bookmarks, favorites, followers, mentions, blog posts, reviews, like that. Altmetrics are often used to measure impact of grey literature or material that are not formally published, that is not actually recorded, that's not recorded, not formally published, such as posters and working papers. They can also be used to provide more information about research published articles and books. So authors should refrain from judging impact of the work based on the altmetric numbers, digging into what they are saying, what about the work may provide more reliable information about this one. And there are different altmetric tools available. If you go for this one, if you can check these tools, altmetric.org, impact story, reader meter, Science Card, PLOS Impact Explorer, Paper Critic, Crowd Meter. So in the subsequent slides you'll be getting this one. So this is the impact story. It's a web-based application that makes easy to track the impact of a wide range of research artifacts. Artifacts in what sense? So not only papers, datasets, slides, research code, all. This is your impact story. Not only a system aggregates impact data from many sources, Mendeley, GitHub, Twitter, and more. So if you check impact story and if you search via your name, it will not only collect data regarding your published literature, but at the same time, what are the different other things you did, like you prepared the data, you prepared PowerPoint slides, you made some research codes. So by this way, you can understand your place in the academic domain. Reader meter, the same thing, is a mashup of visualizing author level and article level statistics, and it is obtained via Mendeley API. Reports are available in HTML as well as JSON file. Science Card. Science Card is a website and it is collecting that one, the author's claim or Microsoft Academic Search ID. PLOS Impact Factor. The PLOS Impact Factor allows to browse your conversations collected by altmetrics.com for papers published by Public Library of Science. This is the PLOS, Public Library of Science. Okay, so see, there are the different. So paper critic, it offers researchers ways of monitoring all types of feedbacks about their scientific work. So, and now if you want to maximize your input, be ready to create unique research identifier, create research profile, share your research in online mode, and take steps to broaden your impact. And these are the different steps. And identity, Google Scholar profile, go to check an impact story, share your research online, post print white paper draft work, presentation slides, videos, data sets, code and software. That is, show all of your activities in different channels, not only just by publishing your articles in the journals. And there is a single platform, LIU Post, that is scholarly publishing resources for faculty. You can go this particular site and check it, and these are the references, and if you have the question you can shoot the questions. But the problem is, right now, due to this pandemic situation, we are preparing this video. There is hardly any chance for you to go for direct question and answer session, but you can mail me at this place, that is at the rate of scourse NBU, and you can mail me, that is scourse, SGHOSH at the rate of nbu.ac.in. So you can mail me here, and I'm ready to answer any other questions you do have. And thank you slide is not made because this presentation is hardly for giving any thank to any individual. তুই তাহলে কর, তারপরে আমি যাই।
আমি চাবিটা নিলাম।